Hello, everybody, and I hope everyone is doing well today. I wanted to talk about a subject. I was looking through some of my notes from reading the Bible, and for the longest time, I was writing notes thinking I was supposed to do a written blog. And for years, I mean, I've got hundreds and hundreds of these notes. And I was like, Lord, this is way too much work for me. What is going on? And he silently, well, I can't say silently, he quietly revealed to me that I was actually supposed to be doing this as a YouTube blog, all of these notes. And so he's been preparing me for a couple of years to do these YouTube blogs, even though it was the last thing on my mind, or the last thing thought I would ever do. So anyways, this is the scripture that popped out. It's 2 Peter 2:19. Now, the chapter is talking about false teachers and their destruction. And, once again, here we go. I mean, we're talking about the silent deception, and is so interesting to see how all of these are just kind of connecting to each other. It's really, really interesting. So anyways, the scripture says they promise them freedom while they themselves are slaves of depravity. For people are slaves to whatever has mastered them. Now, what caught my eye and what really hit me hard on this was the last part of that verse. For people are slaves to whatever has mastered them. How interesting is that? So I went and looked up the word mastered in the Hebrew, and I found the word, which is the picture of this YouTube video, and it's pronounced Sholet. Now, Sholet means controls. So basically, this is what it's saying is whatever controls you or mastered you, you're a slave to it. How interesting. And a lot of us in our lives, we put things are mastering us, they're controlling us. And I did some dictionary looking. Now, mastered, a person that mastered, a person is a person with the ability or power to use or dispose of something. Dispose of something. An owner of a slave or an animal. Now, to be mastered means that you're being ruled or directed by a master. You're being conquered and you're being overcome. Now, let's look at control. To exercise restraint or direction over, dominate, command, to eliminate or prevent the flourishing or spread of. Wow, that one hit me. To eliminate or prevent the flourishing or spread of. So let's put that into the scripture. For people are slaves to whatever has eliminated or prevents the flourishing or spread of salvation, joy. Interesting. Being under the regulation or domination or command of another. Now let's look at enslaved. Enslaved is to make a slave of, reduced to slavery. And what is a slave? A drudge, which means menial, distasteful, dull. A person entirely under the domination of some influence or person. So we could look at this as sorry, my kitty was looking like she was getting ready to jump on the table, and that is a big no-no in our house. Anyways, so you have the obvious, being mastered or enslaved by. What are you doing? You want to say hi? Hold on. Hey, say hi. 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 We just got her. She's trying to figure out, why do I see myself in there? Look, see that cat? All right, anyways, we could talk about the obvious, which is being, and hold on, psst. There, okay. She's entrapped in this room, so she's freaking out. Okay, so we could look at the obvious, which is, let's say, drugs. Sexuality, alcohol, tobacco, any addiction you could be mastered by, because that is something that is so controlling in our lives that we become slaves to it. Now, I used to be a smoker myself, and I totally understand that. I was totally enslaved by my cigarettes. I mean, I didn't want to go visit family because they didn't smoke, so I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go to places where you couldn't smoke. I mean, it totally enslaved me. It controlled where I went, how long I spent with somebody or something. I mean, it controlled everything in my life. I mean, taking long plane trips was difficult for me. I flew to Rome, and I flew to Greece, and wow, that was difficult. 9-hour flight. I was like dying by the time I got off. So I understand the enslavement of addiction and how it can just master your entire life. And it happens without you even realizing. Boom, all of a sudden it's the master of your life. It is what controls your thoughts and everything that you do. I mean, you're at work and all you can think about is when your next break is. You can't concentrate on anything else because it totally controls you. But let's talk about, once again, the theme is going to the silent things. So let's talk about the things that we don't think are controlling or mastering us. Let's talk about our attitudes. I mean, anger, that's a big one. Do we allow anger to control and manipulate our reactions towards things? Does something so innocent anger us to the point of where it masters who we are as a person? And then all of a sudden people don't even want to be around us. So you have all of these feelings that can be master you. Now let's think about this, and this is very, very important. Nothing can master you unless you allow it to. You have to allow it to do that. You can't be mastered by something that you don't allow it to. You can't be enslaved unless you allow yourself to be a slave. Someone who is very what's the word I'm looking for, stubborn or dominant, can never be a slave because they're such a dominant personality. They would never allow anybody or anything to enslave or master them. But there's silent things out there, and the enemy will come in and use, I mean, they know us just as well, not as much, but they know us very well. They know us better than ourselves. They know what our fears are, what our downfall is. He knows what will take our eyes off of Jesus or off of God, whether it's busyness. Are you enslaved by busyness? I know sometimes I do. I get enslaved by, oh, I got to do this first, or I got to do that first, or I got to take care of this. And sometimes I allow that to enslave me and master my life, and I have to stop. And I have to pray about it and say, Jesus, take it away. Make me realize that I don't have to take care of this or take care of that or do this or do that. I don't want it to control my life. I want to do what you want me to do. I want to do your will, not the will of this world or the be a slave to this world, because that's what's happening. Is so many people are becoming a slave to the world and the things within the world. So we really need to pay attention and realize that you cannot have something master you unless you allow it to do so. So how do you stop it? You stop allowing it. You can pray to God about anything. He is able to do anything. He can change your attitude. He can give you joy. Where there's depression, He can give you joy. He can do all of those things. But you have to understand this. And I've heard people say this before. He's not your sugar daddy. You don't go and pray to Him and ask Him for this or for that or for this or for that and expect Him to do it without you showing something in return. And what do you have to show in return? You have to lay your life down for Him. That's exactly what you have to do. You lay your life down, you let go of the things that are mastering you. Whether it's a lifestyle, whether it's a thought, whether it's a personality trait, whether it's an addiction to something. And there's so many other things that you can have addictions to. You could have addiction to TV. You could have addiction to the computer, addiction to games, addiction to food. I mean, there's so many things that you can be addicted to. And you cannot allow those things to master your life because you're going to go down the wrong path. And everything in your life is going to be messed up because you've allowed it to happen. You need to go to God in prayer, and you need to ask for Him to release you from this enslavement, release you from this being bound. And but in return, you have to live a life for God. You have to ask for forgiveness and live a Christian life. You can't just do whatever you want and expect Him to make changes in your life. You've got to live for Jesus. All right, I have to cut this short because I got kids waking up from naps early and they should not be waking up. So I'm going to cut this short. And just remember, don't allow things to enslave you or master you. Don't do it. Go to Jesus. Have a great day.